Some of you misunderstood me. In my previous video commenting on Cosmic Skeptic's video on cancel culture, I add a few things. While mostly affirming Cosmic Skeptic's points, I make the additional point that Winston Churchill's hatred towards Indians was ultimately based on his hatred towards non-human animals. That at the root of Churchill's racism was speciesism. In the introduction of that video, I referenced a quote by Winston Churchill, which is, quote, "I hate Indians. They are a beastly people with a beastly religion," unquote. Now, some of you have misunderstood what I was trying to do by referencing that quote. And I consider that to be entirely my fault. I was not clear enough. And I always appreciate such fair criticism, by the way. Anyway, here's the clarification video. It was pointed out to me in two separate comments that although the word beastly comes from and literally means beast-like, that's not how the word is understood in colloquial British speech. It was pointed out that beastly is just a colloquial term which just means something like terrible. But I do know it means that, and that's exactly the point. Let me explain. You see, I'm a little too familiar with the English language. Take that for what you will. And let me tell you about a different colloquial term that is used in England, or was used in England. And the term is dirty Indian. Now, what does dirty Indian mean? Well, here's a clip of David Rams, who grew up in England, explaining just that.
The phrase "dirty Indian," it was used to describe, to say like, oh, you're like when you were dirty, like, oh, you look like an Indian, right? And it's a horrible racist joke, right? And I had that growing up in England, by the way. People would say that still. Like, this is not an old thing. This is a new thing.
That's a clip from a live stream on David's channel, which I was a part of, as you could see, which coincidentally also happened to be about cancel culture. Anyway, did you see how that insult works? The insult dirty Indian. The insult works by equating someone to Indians, and Indians are just presumed to be dirty. So at the root of this way of insulting someone is a sort of xenophobia and or racism against Indians. Now, the people who said that to David didn't mean that he looked literally like an Indian, obviously. But ask yourself this question. If those people did not have any racial bias or xenophobia against Indians, would they use the term dirty Indian, which is a colloquial term, as an insult? Now apply that same reasoning in the case of Winston Churchill. If Winston Churchill did not have any speciesist bias, right? If he did not have any kind of hatred towards non-human animals, would he use the term beastly, which, like the term dirty Indian, is a colloquial term, as an insult? I would submit to you that the answer to both of these questions is no. No, they would not use the term beastly or dirty Indian as an insult. If you're finding this video to be insightful, a sub to the channel would be beautiful. Get it? Because Beauty and the Beast? I'm sorry. Anyway, on a more serious note, this visceral hatred that humans have against non-human animals is so deeply embedded in us that it makes its way into our languages through terms like beastly. This is exactly similar to how England's hatred against Indians is so deeply embedded into English culture that it makes its way into their language through terms like dirty Indian. Now, Winston Churchill, of course, did not stop at just using colloquial speciesist words like beastly to refer to Indians, to insult Indians. He went further than that, right? He used explicit comparisons between non-human animals and Indians to insult Indians because he hated non-human animals so much that he thought that by equating Indians to non-human animals, that's a sufficient justification to hate Indians too. At the root of Churchill's racism was speciesism. And I talk about those comparisons that Churchill made in the original video, and you can watch that here. this is the video YouTube thinks you like the best. If you want to support my channel more directly, you can support the channel via Patreon. It's the first link in the description. Do leave a comment letting me know what your thoughts are about this video, and I'll see you there.